Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Carne Asada Fries. Well, Cinco de Mayo is right around the corner, and this, of course, is the celebration of Mexico's victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla in the 1800s. And it's become incredibly popular to celebrate here in the United States, but it's become a celebration of Mexican-American culture. Now, it's said that these celebrations originated in California, so it's only appropriate that today we would be cooking a Mexican-inspired recipe that was invented in California. So fire up your grills, because today we're cooking Carne Asada Fries. So the piece of meat we're working with today is a flank steak. This is a prime flake steak that came from Creekstone Farms. And it's looking pretty good. Got just some minor trimming to do, some of this hard fat off of here. But beyond that, as far as processing goes, I'm gonna pound this thing super thin because I want to really tenderize it. I want it to cook fairly quickly. We're gonna try and get some great texture on it, some great flavor on it. We're gonna do that through the marinade and also through what's essentially a mechanical marinade, and that's pounding this really thin. So we're gonna use a meat mallet to pound this thin. I'm just gonna get a little bit of fat on the surface so it doesn't stick, it moves. We're gonna start with the flat side and just working at the thickest part of the flank steak. We're gonna mechanically tenderize this. If this thing's spitting at you too much, you can always cover it with a piece of plastic, kind of control that. So not just hitting it, you actually want to try and kind of press it out the way you want it. So move in a motion toward the direction you're trying to stretch this out. As we break down those fibers, it gets a little bit more tender, stretches itself out, and then we can get it nice and thin. Now ideally we get this to where it's just about the same width, or I should say depth, I guess. Same thickness all the way across, and I think we're looking pretty good on that front. Okay, so the next step is going to be to marinate this, so let's mix up our marinade. So for the base of our marinade, we're just gonna use this Sweetwater Spice Trace Chili's fajita bath. I'm gonna do a half cup of this concentrate. This is an apple juice base, but it's got a lot of chilies and Mexican seasonings to it. We're gonna water it down with a 1/4 cup of water. And then we're gonna add a couple tablespoons of soy sauce. This is very similar to if you've seen our steak fajita video. Next, we're gonna throw in some of our Cattleman's Grill Mexicano, 1 tablespoon, to bump up those Mexican spices, chilies, cumin, oregano, all of that good stuff. And a couple of tablespoons now of chili-infused oil to help carry that flavor. Now we don't need much marinade because we're gonna be doing our marinating in a bag today. You can use a zip top bag if you like, but I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum seal this, which will help speed up the marination process. So I got that flank into a vac seal bag. It'd be nice to have a friend with an extra hand here. We're gonna make it happen. Yeah, there we go. Just kind of work that around, make sure that it's coated on all sides. And I'm gonna go seal this up, and we'll let it sit for about 45 minutes. If you're not gonna vacuum seal it, maybe an hour, hour and a half, even 2 hours would be a good idea. So now that the steak's soaking, let's talk about the rest of the components for the Carne Asada Fries. We've got the Carne Asada already working. Next, we're gonna need fries, and we're not gonna get fancy with the fries today. We're cooking frozen fries on the grill. If you wanna spend some time making your fries from scratch, I say go for it, and check out our fish and chips video for a method. Now, beyond that, you gotta have cheese. We're not gonna just melt cheese on top. We're actually gonna make a queso, albeit a very American queso blanco, but a very tasty one. And from there, the next thing you gotta have is guacamole. And we've got a fun little technique for that. Now, instead of sour cream, we're gonna whip up a garlic lime crema that will top everything off, and then we can finally be done and eat. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the fries onto the grill. That'll give us a nice window of time for us to prepare the rest of the components. And today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. It's running at 425 degrees with a direct grilling setup. So we're putting down our frozen fries on a parchment-lined sheet pan. We wanna try and get these, eventually they should be mostly in one layer. So the overlapping a little bit is okay because we can toss them to brown evenly. We're just gonna add a little bit of beef tallow here, so you kind of get a little bit of that fried effect and that flavor. Let's get those coated in that, and then we're gonna season these up with our California tri-tip seasoning, a great savory seasoning, another ode to California where these fries came from. But I'm breaking them down pretty fine. It's a chunky seasoning, which is great, but when those big pieces meet direct heat, they can often kind of scorch. So we just want to break it down in the spice grinder a little bit so it rather clings to the fry and doesn't burn. All right, so just spread these out, and we're gonna throw these on the bottom rack of the grill. I want to make sure that we get some nice crispiness to these fries. We don't just want soggy fries, so that's why we're gonna go right over the direct heat. All right, now we're gonna move on to our guacamole, and we're gonna do a pretty low effort guacamole. Not too many ingredients, keeping it simple. First starting with our avocados, obviously. And we're gonna do a cool little trick. I don't know what we call it. I forget what we call it. Bagamole, maybe? We're gonna assemble it all in a zip top bag, which is kind of nice because then you can just smash it right in the bag and it already has a place to be stored while you wait to serve it. So just gonna scoop out the flesh right into the zip top bag. So next ingredient, we're gonna add a little salsa. Again, this is just making it a little bit simpler than actually dicing up some onions or garlic and tomatoes if you like it in there. We're gonna do probably about 3 tablespoons. I also want a few tablespoons of minced cilantro. Go as heavy or as light as you like on this ingredient. I know some people just naturally can't handle it. It's got that soap flavor. I feel bad for you because it's a beautiful herb, but you can always skip it if you need to. And we're gonna want about a tablespoon of lime juice. I actually kind of like a mixture of lemon and lime sometimes in guacamole. My mom always made it with lemon juice, and it's pretty good. I feel like lime is the more traditional, but you know, you do you. And then finally, we're gonna add a little bit of our Jacobsen habanero infused sea salt. Why not use the good stuff, right? We'll get this sealed up, and then just squash it. Move everything around, mix it up, break it down, leave it as chunky or get it as smooth as you like. And take a little bit more of that air out so it doesn't brown at all. Of course, the acidity from the lime juice helps with that. And then you just seal that up and throw it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. All right, so we're moving on to the crema now. We're gonna start with 1 cup of sour cream. We're gonna add to that a healthy squeeze of lime juice. Probably about a tablespoon. How much is really up to you. It's already sour cream. You're making it a little bit more sour with lime. So you're gonna have to just do that to your liking. We got 2 cloves. They're going in raw, so you want them broken down super fine. You're gonna add a little bit of that tri-tip in here as well, just to get a little bit of saltiness. And then I wanna thin it out with some water, just to really to your desired consistency, but I don't want it to be so thick that when I squeeze it out of a squeeze bottle, it just comes out, well, I don't know, entirely too thick. You want it to kind of spread a little bit. All right, so once you've got that thinned out, it's, you know, probably a tablespoon, maybe 2 of water. We transfer that over to a squeeze bottle. Well, the fries have been on for about 40 minutes now, and they're starting to crisp up, though they're not 100% all the way there. It works out because our flank steak has also been sitting for about 45 to 50 minutes. So we're gonna scoot these fries over and get our flank steak on the grill. So I've been moving these around a bit because there is kind of a hot spot right here. So just doing a little rotation, but you can see we've got some nice crispiness and some browning going on. So we're gonna let these finish over here off to the side. So we're gonna crank this up to 500 for the steak, just so it's constantly feeding pellets. The flank's gonna come straight out of the marinade and onto the grill. Now, while the steak's cooking, we're going to make our queso, We're starting with 1 cup of whole milk. We just want to bring that up to a simmer. So now that we're simmering, we're going to start adding our cheeses, just a handful at a time. We've got 6 ounces each of American cheese and Chihuahua. This works out to about 1.5 cups of both, or I should say 1.5 cups of each one if you're going by volume. We're just going to keep whisking, keep this milk hot. As the cheese melts, we add more. I mentioned that we were doing a fairly American queso blanco, and this is where that comes into play. But you just can't deny the melty goodness of the American cheese. We are going to balance that out with the Chihuahua, which is a much more stretchy cheese. Kind of compare it to stretchy like mozzarella, but almost more creamy like Monterey Jack. So, if you were going to substitute, that would be a good choice. But at this point, the queso Chihuahua is so readily available, I'm using it for all kinds of stuff. If we're doing a Mexican recipe that requires melty cheese, it's going to be queso Chihuahua. All right, last bit of the Chihuahua going in. And once I see that this is fully melted, we can bring this temperature down a bit. We're going to throw in a 1/4 cup of diced pickled jalapenos. Also going to add a tablespoon of the juice from that pickle, the pickling brine. And then finally, about a tablespoon of jalapeno vice green chili hot sauce. All right, so we're just going to keep this warm now. Let's go check on the steak. All right, it's been about 7 minutes now. Look at that, beautiful color. Nice grill marks. God, it smells amazing. Check on our fries. Still crisping up, not getting overdone. They're doing just fine off to the side. So at this point, we're gonna let this cook until it reaches an internal temperature of 125 degrees, and then we'll pull it off the grill. All right, it's been about 11 or 12 minutes total now. We've reached that target temperature, so we're gonna pull off our flank steak. All right, so let's go ahead and break down our flank. We're gonna cut this into very small pieces, just a small dice, so we can spread this goodness all around our carne asada fries. Slicing like butter and super juicy. You gotta be happy about that. So we've done so many things here to help make what is a relatively tough piece of meat just really tender. By pounding it out first, the marinade that breaks down those muscles, and then just dicing it super small so that each one of those strands of the muscle are broken down into tiny pieces, and it gives you the illusion of eating a really tender piece of meat. I'm gonna dust this with just a little bit of Mexicano to finish it off. All right, I think we are ready to build our carne asada fries. All right, we're gonna do a single serving portion to go. Let's be honest, it's gonna be more than a single serving portion. Fries in the boat. We took the fries to extra crispy because they're about to get uncrispy with all the stuff we're gonna put on top. Once you get your fries on, you're gonna get your queso. Just smother it. I keep saying queso blanco, but it's not like we didn't put yellow American cheese in it too. Then over the top, we've got our carne asada. Got to get some guacamole in there as well. So just take the edge of that corner of that bag off. Pipe you a nice portion of guacamole on the side. We'll finish it off with that lime and garlic crema. A little cilantro. Wedge of lime. And a little more hot sauce over the top if you like it spicy. We're going to dig in. We're going to get a taste. A little guac. Get a little bit of everything. Oh man. It was just some of my favorite flavors all in one place. Carne asada with my love language. French fries, amazing. Guacamole. Why aren't we eating guacamole on fries anyway? It is so stinking good. I'll tell you what, this year, celebrate your Mexican-American brothers and sisters with some carne asada fries. You can start your diet on 6 de Mayo. How's that sound? Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.